Welcome to the Service Game, where serve starts the story. I'm your host, Ivy J, and in today's episode, I will be talking about the finals of Indian Wells as well as the first week of Miami Open. I feel like over the past week, there has been a lot of tennis action going on, and not gonna lie to you guys, I was just really caught up with schoolwork, so I haven't watched that many tennis matches, but there are a few that I feel like are worth sharing with you guys. So, yeah, let's just get right into it. For our first segment, the toss, I want to talk about just the Indian Wells finals quickly. So, on the women's side, I think this was definitely one of the matches of the year contender. It was Arina Sabalenka against Elena Rybakina, and Sabalenka won with the score of 3-6, 6-3, 7-6, 8-6 in the final set tiebreak. And this was definitely one of the best matches this entire tournament. I think on the women's side, the tournament improved in a way as the matches went on. I feel like at the start it was kind of a little bit underwhelming, but as the tournament went on, the final definitely paid off. And yeah, I mean, Rybakina played great, but I think with the record of Sabalenka's tiebreak final, because Sabalenka just has a really incredible tiebreak record. So this was kind of just like balancing between, are we going to get the continuously good Rybakina form, or are we going to continue with Sabalenka's amazing tiebreak record? And it turned out that Sabalenka won, and I think it was truly deserved, and I think she definitely needed one of these big final wins because I think she kind of is starting to label herself as a player who is unable to win big like tournament finals. And I think even during the Australian Open, in the aftermath in the press conference, she thought that her finals record at Grand Slams was worse than it actually was. So she actually has the record of 4-4. So she won 4 and lost 4 in Grand Slam finals. But I think she thought it was like she lost way more. So I think she has an idea of just this idea instilled in her head that she's not really good at playing these final matches. So I think she really needs these sort of big stage wins and just some of these like really tight wins to prove to herself that she's able to win these pretty tight matches. Okay. And on the men's side, I mean, I talked about how Medvedev beat Alcaraz and Medvedev is playing out of his mind tennis right now. And he lost in two really narrow sets to Sinner in the final. So they were both tiebreaks. He lost 6-8 in the first tiebreak and 4-7 in the second. So obviously, I mean, Sinner, it just shows that even though I feel like Sinner didn't have the start of the year he would have liked to, he didn't defend his title in Australia. He lost to Novak Djokovic in, I believe, the semifinals, and in Qatar he lost to Mensik. But regardless, he's still really consistent and he won in Indian Wells. And I'm really happy for Medvedev and Sinner. I feel like there's really no loser here because Medvedev found his form. And I think when a lot of people ask me, like, how was Medvedev able to be the world number one and play good tennis and beat Djokovic at the US Open final, this is the form that he is in when he won all of those titles, and I'm really happy that he found his form again. So yeah, okay, that's all. We'll take a little break and we'll come back for the main segment, the hit. Welcome back to the hit. So I think I just kind of want to start off not really talking about the tennis, but rather just about the entire rain delay. So yeah, it was really horrible. Indian Wells on March 18th, it was just pouring the entire day, which resulted in the entire tournament getting pushed back on the starting day. And I mean, now it's just like whatever, but I was really looking forward to watching it and it was just getting pushed back. So because of that, now there are a lot of more tennis action that's sort of like compacted. So yeah, I guess we'll talk about like a few matches on the men's side and a few on a women's side. So on the men's side, I want to talk about Carlos Alcaraz versus Joao Fonseca. So I think a lot of people were looking forward into to this match because Fonseca did play center in Indian Wells, and in Indian Wells he lost in two tiebreak sets. Alcaraz beat Fonseca with a score of 6-4, 6-4. I mean, I don't think it's like comparable because both of these were pretty tight score lines, but I think the main thing I want to point out is Alcaraz just had more like I would say he was more clutch if that made any sense. Like makes any sense. Like he's able to convert more break points. He generated 5 break points and he was able to convert two of them compared to Fonseca, who had 3 break points, but he wasn't able to convert any of them. And I think that is one of the reasons why Carlos Alcaraz is just so much more like he has so much more experience compared to players like Fonseca, and that definitely still like I believe comes from just like more tournament play. And then I kind of want to talk about Shelton versus Alexander Shevchenko. It was a really, really tight match. I will also be linking this match in my show notes if you guys want to check out the highlights. Shevchenko won with a score of 6-7, 7-6, and 6-3. Really, really enjoyed this match. It was really entertaining. I think Shelton at Indian Wells, he was ill. So this was sort of like a more rejuvenated version of him, and even though he lost, sort of like a similar tone to the Fonseca match, but he didn't convert any of the 5 breakpoints he generated. But yeah, I really enjoyed this match, and I think I kind of also just want to talk because of how the tournaments got pushed back, we haven't really seen like a lot of the like for example, I don't think we've seen Sinner play, and also because no Novak Djokovic also withdrew from the tournament, which for me wasn't really a surprise because I thought that because of how far he went to at Indian Wells and that incredible match he played with Draper, he was going to be a little bit compromised coming in, and I was correct. He did decided to withdraw. And I kind of just want to touch upon that before we move on to the women's side. I think for him to withdraw and just like right now he's all playing the really big tournaments, and I've never really seen a player doing this before. Like he's not really preparing for the Grand Slams. It's just he's not playing the matches that are preparing him. He's just going into the biggest tournaments, and I mean, credits to him because I feel like he's been doing really well in them. For example, in Australia, obviously, he reached the finals, and in Indian Wells, he also went pretty far. And I think because of how experienced he is, he's able to use like the first few round matches as his warm up tournament, if that makes any sense. Like a lot of players, they would enter in warm up tournaments to prepare them for the Grand Slams, for the big tournaments. But for him, I think it's more of just going straight into a Grand Slam, and he's not scared about losing these first few round matches because of the experiences he has, and he's able to use these as his warm up tournaments. And I think that's a really impressive skill, not gonna lie. And I'm really excited and kind of intrigued to see if he will play the clay tournaments leading up to the French Open. I mean, I think maybe he'll play in Madrid or Rome. I think he probably will play in Rome because it's a pretty interesting tournament. So, and I think he really likes it there. So, we will see if he plays in Rome, but I'm excited to see him at the French Open regardless. Okay, we'll take a little break and we'll move on to the women's side. We'll come to the other segment of the hit. So I think I want to talk about, as I said, the women's side and a few matches that were really intriguing. Um, I want to start off talking about Iga Świątek. So this was on Thursday where Iga lost to Magda Linette in the second round. She got a bye in the first round, but she lost 6-1, 5-7, 3-6. And I think this was the first time in a long time that, if you guys know the stat, feel free to put in a comment, that she lost in the opening round of an event. And I really do think this has become a problem now. She's been not, like, her entire, I think, sort of like, she was really good at winning these 1,000 tournaments, and that's what she's known for, is to brush aside her opponents. And I think a lot of people, when we see her, at least for me, I still have the mindset that she's going to do the same thing. But because she's been losing to these players, not to say that Magda Linette is bad, like a bad player in any means, but just because she's losing to players like these, her sort of like locker room dominance is sort of gone. Like, players aren't scared to play her anymore, and I think she's sort of seen as like, oh my gosh, I've drawn Iga, and this might be a chance for me to score an ultimate upset and to gain momentum. So yeah, and I mean, I think she really needs to change her team up now. I'm actually pretty surprised that she hasn't done anything about it yet. I'm pretty sure maybe I feel like before Clay, we can't really comment on how Iga's season's going to go because she's always so dominant on Clay, and it's just like, she's if she does like horrible on Clay, then it's definitely an issue with her. But you never know with her, especially because last season I thought it was going to be just not that good for her, but she won in Wimbledon, and I think that really made a lot of things up. So, yeah, but this was just really unexpected for me, and I think she definitely needs to change up her coaching box. And I kind of also want to talk about the other match that happened between Francesca Jones and Venus Williams. I kind of just want to talk more about Venus Williams because I think I talked about this before, but she's truly so inspiring. Like, her ability to still play tennis when she's above 40, and even though she's losing, but she's like playing these really close matches against players that are literally like 20 years younger than her, and I just found that to be really inspiring. But yeah, I feel like that's kind of all I really want to talk about because there hasn't been, because of the whole day delay thing, we're still at the round of 32, so there haven't been that many events that went on and matches. So I guess we can move on to the next segment, which is the follow through. Okay, welcome back to the follow through. I think for the follow through, I just kind of want to talk about the next week's tournaments. So, I mean, the big thing is Miami, and Miami's gonna end on Saturday, I believe, for the women's and Sunday for the men's. I really like Miami in this aspect more than Indian Wells because the tournaments, like, it ends on different days, whereas in Indian Wells it's like the women's semifinals on one day, the men's semifinals on the other day, and then on Sunday they all just play on the same day, which means that the men has like they have to play the day right after, whereas for Miami it's more like sort of like the women's play their semifinals on Friday. They get to play their the women's play their semifinals on the men's play their semifinals on Friday, and then they play their finals on Sunday, whereas the women's play their semifinals on Thursday and they play their finals on Saturday, which gives them definitely more time to rest, and I think it's much needed after that entire rain delay for the whole day. So yeah, and thank you so much for listening. I know this week I didn't really talk that much into all the tennis matches because I was just really busy with school, but I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode and comment down below your favorite match from the Miami or Indian Wells tournament. Just okay, maybe your favorite match of the season so far. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. Rate my show. It really helps a lot. Subscribe and go follow my Substack if you want to receive second serve content. And I'll see you guys next week. Let the serves continue. Bye.